Can you train well without enjoying it? Is that possible to do it consistently without enjoying? First, we need to think what we mean enjoying. For example, we don't want to be here. It's something subtle that we need to understand here. It's something that is not in the first layer of analysis. To enjoy something, for example, you enjoy lifting weights. There are people who enjoy. It may be enjoyable, but the first time that you do it, you are not going to enjoy because weights are heavy, difficult to lift. But maybe what you are going to enjoy is going to be the challenge. Maybe it's going to be what you're going to get from doing it, the achievements, strengthen your body, all of that. I believe that we should find activities, physical activities that we enjoy do more. I'm not saying that you need to do something that you dislike. But when you think about physical activities or any sport, it's easy to understand that all of them take an effort from you. And do that in many situations doesn't give you pleasure right away. But one thing that I always think is this: as long as you are a human being, you have a physical body. All of us, we have physical bodies. It's not like if we are uh, a spiritual entity. Because a lot of people, they say something like this: oh no, I'm not like that. I don't like to exercise. I don't like to work out. I'm not like this. The only thing that I'd like is to think about things, is to talk, other things. But the reality is that you have a physical body. So you need to allow yourself to get in touch with this reality, to know yourself better. This is the question here. If you dislike any physical activity, it is because you are not in contact with a part of you that is very important. Now, let's think about this better here. The thing is, the best training is not always the most enjoyable. At some days, you are going to feel incredible training. But the thing is, you do not need to love every session of training to be successful. What you need to do is to train. For example, I love martial arts since I was a child, and I've been training since I was a child. But that doesn't mean that I love every training session. There are days when it feels like work. There are days when it feels great. But we need to understand that in order to be consistent, because consistency is the most important thing, to evolve, we need to be consistent on anything that we want to do, not just in training. So, the first thing here is this: you do not need to love the activity to be successful. But the reality is this: eventually, you can love the activity. Because, as I said, you are going to be in contact with a part of yourself that maybe you are not in contact yet. You know something? In many moments of my life, people who know me in other parts of my life, for example, when I was studying, and I tell them that I was a martial artist, they were amazed. I don't know if this would be the best word in English to say, but they were surprised. Let's say that. People from work were surprised. When I was in the college, people from college, because I like to study a lot, different subjects. I like to go deep in the subjects when I was in the college. When I was in college. And people know me, they know that part of my life. And when I tell them, when I invite them to go to the gym, to train, to do a training session with me, in many occasions there were people who tell me something. Oh, how are you involved in such a violent activity? Something like that. Because they didn't understand. Another aspect that is very important too is respecting our body and respecting what we are doing. Respecting the fact that our body needs to be active. So I believe that respect is more important than passion. And this is a distinction that most people never make. Respect is more important than passion. Respect for yourself, respect for your body, and respect for what you are doing. And we need to consider too that doing something as difficult as training in a regular basis, if you are able to do that, is something that is going to give you more respect for yourself. We should respect what training does for our lives. You don't need to enjoy to wake up early, do something difficult, running the cold, pushing through fatigue. But you can respect the process. Passion, it can come and go. But if you respect, you tend to be more stable. when I am training, most of the days, I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm doing this activity, how I am enjoying this, something like this. I'm not thinking like that. I'm just doing something that I enjoy to do in a certain way, yes. Something that gives meaning to life, that gives identity to you, that helps you to define who you are. And there is another thing to consider here. Like I said, you need to allow yourself to be in contact with this part of you. Because in many times, you learn to enjoy later. Something that is known is that um, training releases in our bodies hormones that make us feel pleasure. For example, when I'm go for a run early in the morning, in many days I go for it, and before I go, I already know that I'm going to feel pleasure with the activity. But it always it isn't always like that. When I start to run, was difficult, frustrating. I wasn't able to do the way that I want to do it. But then, little by little, I start to enjoy. The progress is slow, but the important part is to do it every day or every week, 3 times a week, the way that you do. Each one of us need to find his own way. In my case, I do it every day. For example, when I go cycling, I do two things in the morning, early in the morning: cycling or running. Each day of the week, I do something different. If I cycle today, I go run tomorrow. All right, when I do that, as I don't do it in a very high performative way, most of the days I do it while I plan my day. I think about what I'm going to do in that day. In the beginning, it was very difficult. I struggle to develop the habit. Nowadays, I'm not saying that is easy, because maybe it's never going to be easy, because you are doing something physical. So it isn't easy, but it's not easy. But it's something that I really extract pleasure from. When you are running, thinking about your life, sometimes you close your eyes and you are there, just yourself. Maybe you can listen to a podcast or something, a song, or in many moments, you may do it not listening to anything at all. Just you and yourself thinking about things and enjoying the pleasure of being yourself. I'm not saying that's something that happens with me every day, but you know, At the least twice a week it happens, and it's very good. Other days, like I said, feels like work. Other days feels like an obligation. But when you understand that consistency is the most important part, is where is when you push yourself to do it regularly. And by doing that, you are going to feel the gratitude for being doing it. The gratitude for being able to do it. When you think, for example, that many people would like to do the same way, the same thing that you are complaining about doing, being able to do something physical. So, just to wrap the video up and think about everything that we said here. First thing is this: the best training is not always the most enjoyable. You don't need to enjoy, you need to be consistent. Consistent. A lot of people believe that they need to love training to be successful. You don't need to love it, you need to do it. All right, second thing, respect is more important than passion. Passion comes and goes, respect stay. So is the very important thing. And the third insight is this: sometimes you learn to enjoy later in life. Allow yourself doing it. And if you are able to find an activity that you can do, like martial arts for me, and that you are going to enjoy, even better. But I really believe that everybody that permits him or herself to get to know profoundly himself or herself is going to be able to find an activity that he's going to enjoy doing it. All right, my friends, that is all that I have for you today. Thank you all for tuning in, and I see you in the next video.